Hey guys, we're doing the 24 Days of Christmas Stories, and today is December 5th. So our fifth story is Christmas Day in the Morning by Pearl S. Buck. He woke suddenly and completely. It was 4 o'clock, the hour at which his father had always called him to get up so that he could help with the milking. Strange how the habit of his youth had clung to him still 50 years ago, and his father had been dead for 30 years. And yet, the wake at 4 o'clock in the morning, he had trained himself to turn over and go to sleep. But this morning, it was Christmas. He did not try to go back to sleep. Why did he feel so awake tonight? He slipped back into time, as he did so easily nowadays. He was 15 years old and still on his father's farm. He loved his father. He had not known it until one day, a few days before Christmas, when he had overheard what his father was saying to his mother. "Mary, I hate to call Rob in the mornings. He's growing so fast and he needs his sleep. If you could see how he sleeps when I go in to wake him up, I wish I could manage alone." "Yeah, well, you can't, Adam." His mother's voice was brisk. "Besides, he isn't a child anymore. It's time that he took his turn." "Yes," his father said slowly, "but I sure do hate to wake him." When he heard these words, something in him awoke. His father loved him. He had never thought of it before, taking for granted the tie of their blood. Neither his father or his mother talked about loving their children, but they had no time for such things, and there was always so much to do on the farm. Now that he knew his father loved him, there would be no more loitering around in the mornings and having to be called again. He got up after that, stumbling blind with sleep, and pulled on his clothes, his eyes tight shut, but he got up. And then, on the night before Christmas that year, when he was 15, he lay for a few minutes thinking about the next day. They were poor, and most of the excitement was in the turkey that they had raised themselves and the mince pies that his mother had made. His sisters sewed presents, and his mother and father always bought something that he needed, not only a warm jacket, maybe, but something more, like a book. And he saved and bought them each something too. He wished that Christmas, he was 15, he had a better present for his father. As usual, he had gone to the 10-cent store and bought a tie, and it seemed nice enough until he lay thinking that night before Christmas. He looked out the attic window. The stars were bright. "Dad," he had once asked when he was a little boy, "what is a stable?" "It's just a barn," his father replied, "like ours." Then Jesus had been born in a barn, and to a barn the shepherds had come. The thought struck him like a silver dagger. Why should he not give his father a special gift, too, out there in the barn? He could get up early, earlier than 4, and he could slip out into the barn and get the milking done. He'd do it alone, milk and clean it up, and then when his father went to start the milking, he'd see it all done, and he would know who had done it. He laughed to himself. He gazed at the stars. It was what he would do, and he mustn't sleep too long. He must have wakened 20 times, scratching the match each time to look at his old watch, midnight and 1:30, and then 2 o'clock. At 2:45, he got up and put on his clothes. He crept downstairs, careful of the creaky boards, and let himself out. The cows looked up at him sleepy and surprised. It was too early for them, too. He had never milked all alone before, but it seemed almost easy. He kept thinking about his father's surprise. His father would come in and get him, say that he would get things started while Rob was getting dressed. He'd go to the barn and open the door, and then he'd go to get the empty milk cans, but they wouldn't be waiting empty. They'd be standing in the milk house all filled. "What the?" he could hear his father exclaiming. His smile and smiled steadily, 2 strong streams rushing into the pail, frothing and fragrant. The task went more easily when he had ever known it to go before. Milking, for once, was not a chore. It was something else, a gift to his father, who he loved and who loved him. He finished. The 2 milk cans were full, and he covered them and closed the milk house door carefully. Back into his room, he had only a minute to pull off his clothes in the darkness and jump into bed, for he heard his father up. He put the covers over his head and silent his quick breathing. The door opened. "Rob," his father called, "we have to get up, son, even on Christmas." "All right," he said sleepily. The door closed and he lay there laughing to himself. In just a few minutes, his father would know. His dancing heart was ready to jump from his body. The minutes were endless, 10, 15, he didn't know how many, and he heard his father's footsteps again. The door opened and he lay still. "Rob?" "Yes, Dad?" His father was laughing, a queer sobbing sort of laugh. "Thought you'd fool me, did you?" His father was standing beside his bed, feeling for him, pulling away the covers. "It's for Christmas, Dad." He found his father and clutched him in a great hug. He felt his father's arms go around him. It was dark, and they could not see each other's faces. "Rob, I thank you. Nobody's ever done a nicer thing." "Oh, Dad, I want you to know, I do want to be good." The words broke from him, or of their own will. He did not know what to say. His heart was bursting with love. He got up and pulled his clothes again, and they went down to the Christmas tree. Oh, what a Christmas, and how his heart had nearly burst again with shyness and pride, as his father told his mother and made his 3 younger children listen about how he, Rob, had got up all by himself. "The best Christmas gift I ever had, and I'll remember it, son, every year on Christmas morning so long as I live." They had been remembered, and now his father was dead. He remembered it alone. That blessed Christmas dawn when, alone with the cows in the barn, he had made his first gift of true love. I love you guys. I hope you have a Merry Christmas.